Welcome to the wonderful world of Lunn Learning, a new and exciting way for children to learn about nature, wildlife and conservation through stories. The first is an adventure story called The Squirrel. Chapter 3. PM to the Rescue. Squirrels weren't the only things that lived in the forest. There were birds and beetles, ferns and fungi, flies and spiders, moths and midges, junipers and blueberries, and last but not least, pine martens. As Red lay sleeping on the log, a pine marten had crept up near to him and was watching him. Red didn't move. The pine marten wondered if he was dead. He crept a little bit closer, and Red still didn't move. The pine marten sniffed at him and saw Red's chest slowly rise and fall as he breathed deeply in his sleep.
So he's not dead then,
the pine marten thought.
Not yet anyway, ha ha!
He giggled to himself as he thought about how tasty red squirrels were. They were a real delicacy and a rare treat if they could be caught. They could leap high into the trees and they could run along fine branches, too delicate for a pine marten to follow. Pine martens are too big for that. They're the size of a cat.
Yummy, 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 food for my tummy,
the pine marten thought as he slobbered saliva onto Red's scruffy fur. Red's tatty fur stuck to his skin, and the pine marten could see how thin and scrawny he was.
All bone and no meat. He won't be tasty at all, he thought. Just like them other ones I ate. Crunch, crunch, crunch and no juicy bits. Had to spit 'em out in the end.
He took a step backwards and a twig snapped with a loud crack as he stood on it. Oops, he thought.
It don't matter. Them squirrels don't eat pine martens, just pine nuts. Ha ha!
I'm so hungry, I could eat a horse, Red muttered in his sleep.
A horse? The pine marten cried out loud. Yikes, I'm off.
This woke Red with a start. He opened his eyes and saw two big brown eyes staring back at him. Ah! Red cried out with fright. Who are you? He shouted, trying to disguise his fear. The pine marten reared up like a bear, and Red let out a squeal. He thought he was going to die of starvation. He didn't think he was going to be eaten by a bear.
I'm a pine marten. PM's the name. And you are?
Red. I'm a red squirrel, but I'm not very red anymore. I'm not very well, you see, Red answered nervously.
Good job I didn't eat you then. Don't want to get the lurgy from ya.
That gave Red an idea. I'm all skin and bone, Red continued. I wouldn't be tasty, and I might give you worms.
Worms?
Yes, wiggly little parasites that live inside you and eat you up from inside out, Red continued.
Yuck, that's disgusting. And I ate one of you lot earlier,
moaned PM as he started to feel sick. Red heard alarm bells ringing in his ears, and his mummy's voice came back in a flash. If you ever see one of those weasel-like creatures with dark brown fur and a creamy white bib, run for your life, run for your life, run for your life. Her warning repeated over and over in his mind. But Red couldn't run. He could barely walk. This was it. He slumped back on the log and he thought he was going to be eaten alive. At that moment, he heard PM being sick. "Are you okay?" Red asked in his usual caring way.
Oh, I feel as sick as a dog, Red. I don't think I'll ever eat another one of you lot ever again.
PM slumped on the log beside Red. There they sat, prey and predator side by side, both of them looking rather sorry for themselves. All was quiet. No rustling on the ground, no bird calls in the air. Everything was silent. Then Red's tummy made a huge rumbling sound.
Cripes! You sound hungry, Red.
"I am," Red whimpered.
Why's that then?
"The grey squirrels have stolen all my food and I can't find any and I'm starving."
Fancy some nuts or seeds or fruit or mushrooms or...
"Yes!" cried Red.
Well, follow me, Red. I know where them grey squirrels have hidden it all. Come on, let's get some food inside ya.
One of the strangest sights that the other animals had ever seen was when they watched a red squirrel follow a pine marten on a treat trail along the forest floor. Normally it would be the other way round, and the pine marten would be following the squirrel, chasing it up a tree. But not today. When PM got back home, his dutiful servant One Fang was waiting for him. He'd lost one of his fangs when he'd escaped from a fox trap, and he lost his left eye too.
Cool. You're late. What happened to you, boss?
Asked One Fang with a rough, husky voice.
I got talking to a red squirrel,
PM replied with a glint in his eye.
Talking? Not eating? You going soft, boss? What did you say? Nothing, boss. Nothing.
One Fang knew not to make his boss cross.
What did you talk about, boss? I got friendly like with one of them called Red. I think I know how to get the lot of them, the greys and the reds. The greys and the reds, boss? The greys are easy 'cause they're big and fat and can't climb trees as I. But the reds, boss? We can get the reds as well? Blimey. That's right. Listen up. I showed Red where the greys stash their food. I said we'd help the reds find more to get 'em through the winter. Why, boss? That way they get big and strong and we get 'em on our side, right? Right, boss. And I gave Red an idea of how to chase the greys away so the reds get back their forest. Why, boss? That way we all live happily ever after, right? Right, boss. Wrong. Wrong, boss?
PM grinned a naughty grin and said,
Yeah. We fatten 'em up and then we eat 'em up.
One Fang punched the air with his fist and shouted with glee,
Yeah, boss. Yeah.
PM and One Fang pranced around, swishing their tails as they chanted,
Fatten 'em up, then eat 'em up. Fatten 'em up, then eat 'em up.
They looked straight at each other with sneers of delight. PM was good at making plans, and this one was a cunning one. A very cunning one indeed. Written and narrated by Fiona Lunn. Recorded by Tony O'Malley. Produced by Guy Benoist. Illustrations by Sarah Westaway.